Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing well. If you haven't already, then subscribe to not miss out on more Nintendo and Zelda content every single week from yours truly. Now today I'm going to be looking at 5 of the weirdest locations in the Zelda series. This list is in no particular order at all, but will feature places from Zelda games across the series. The support recently has been great and I thank you all. Now let's get into the video. Number 1. Mycar Island from Breath of the Wild. While this is a clear reference to Mycar, who's first met in the Windwaker in the Forbidden Woods, needed by the Deku Tree to perform a sacred song, this island is much different to many places that are seen in Breath of the Wild. The difference with this place, that seems to be its defining feature amongst the Zelda community, has to be its function. But first, let's discuss why I list this as a weird place. Well, a minor weird-esque fact about this place is that not a single collectible can be found on it, and despite it being called Mycar Island, being named after a Korok, not a single Korok seed lies on this island. This is unusual, as many Breath of the Wild fans will know that if you see something out of place in the Breath of the Wild world, even if it is just a reference, there normally is a seed located next to it. An example of a reference location housing a Korok has to be the Era of Wind's pirate companion, Limbeck's Island. This island actually keeps 2 Korok seeds in wait for the Hero of Wilds. This shows that reference places can definitely have a Korok seed or 2. And it seems weird that Mycar Island doesn't have one, even though it's named after the most iconic Korok, behind Hester of course. Now, as Zeltik calls it, the mystery of Mycar Island is a sort of curse that this island seems to have. In the daytime the island is normal, albeit boring, but normal. Whereas at night it turns into a safe haven for Stalgoblins, Stalmoblins, Stalazalfos. There's no lore explanation for this, and it really just stands out as a weird place. Though the island itself seems to reference that Mycar was on another island, far away from the Deku Tree. Forevermore. Porpora Nile from the Windwaker. Because of Windwaker's vast and expansive ocean, I didn't actually notice this one until quite late onto my first Windwaker playthrough. That and the fact that most of the islands in Windwaker feel fairly plain and empty, so most of them I don't feel like are worth the exploration. However, this specific island itself has a rather weird property. Choo-choos just seem to spawn here almost as if they're endlessly repeated. This prompts many people to think that this island is the origin location of choo-choos, as such a random property would suggest this. Now let's get off the theory side though. I mean, in general, this island is a little bit strange, let's be honest. I mean, a giant white sphere tainting the middle of the island. Unlike Mycar Island, this island does actually have a bit of a purpose, as it houses both loads of rupees and a heart piece, which I'm sure completionists hate to venture to. The sheer fact such a random enemy as a choo-choo would have originated from here really does place it at the top of my list when talking about unique areas in the Windwaker, as it was a fairly light game for weird sightings. Perhaps barring the likes of the ghost ship, but realistically, a ghost ship I think is sort of expected in a pirate-themed world as we've come to expect in pop culture nowadays. So that's why Porpora Island has a spot on this list. Number 3. The Twilight Realm from, well, Twilight Princess. While this is the only large area I've included in this list so far, I will also note an even bigger area as my final item on this list. Just wait for it. Where to start when talking about the Twilight Realm? From the way it's introduced in Twilight Princess to the destruction that the Usurper Kings Zant and Ganon caused this once harmless land. The shadow creatures inhabit it, the origins of the Twilight being the legend of the interlopers. As I do when discussing places like this, I like to first mention the atmosphere that a certain area creates, and personally I think that the Twilight Realm itself has a great atmosphere. It pulls you into a new realm. Now when I say the Twilight Realm, I mostly mean the Twilight Palace and the Wolf Link sections from the beginning of the game. And well, let's take a look at the penultimate dungeon in the game, the Twilight Palace. Well, as a dungeon it is extremely linear in design and feels almost uninspired. The thought was there, even if it was outshone by the likes of Snow Peak and Arbiter's Grounds. But atmospherically, this place is amazing. The Twilight Realm and Palace serve as a place where the Twilight rest, and in this palace these lifeless Twilights stare at Link, almost as if to wish death upon themselves to his Master Sword. Really on a first playthrough, it's increasingly more depressing to play through the palace. It just gives off the weirdest vibes out of a lot of places in the series without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, even the lore itself of the Twilight and Twilight Realm is haunting. Even the theories that Majora's Mask could be the predecessor to the Fused Shadow are simply terrifying given the power that Majora's Mask held. All in all, a mysterious and no doubt terrifying place. Number 4. The bottom of the ancient cistern from Skyward Sword. Now I know that a lot of people who watch my channel are avid lovers of Skyward Sword, and even a couple of my content creator buddies love the game. So you'll mostly all know that in comparison to other games in the series, it really doesn't feature anything overly weird or terrifying. Though the Ancient Cistern is a dungeon that's loved throughout the Zelda fanbase, by me included. I'm not exactly in love with Skyward Sword, but there's a real atmospheric change as you make your way through the dungeon. It's quite the scary change of pace in comparison to the rest of the game. The thing that makes this place so satisfying and mysterious is the malice-controlled bokoblins who will attack you on sight. Now if we pretend it's 2016 and we have no further knowledge of the purple substance, then this is weird in itself, as we've never seen malice outright shown to the Zelda community at this point. Sure, we'd have hints through death animations and the like, but this was a real breakthrough that would inspire even the next game. In general, however, this area is stone cold mysterious. I mean, why after the buddy kissed topside would there be such a thing as this? Why would the Zelda team play the innocence of this dungeon with such a dark and fascinating area? Well, it actually links back to my Buddha comment, as the final climb from the bottom side of the dungeon is inspired wholly by a Buddhist story. The story of Buddha Shakyamuni, who made his way through a valley of trials, much like the ancient cistern. And as the player begins to climb the rope to civilization, the path to paradise if you will, and as the sinners and the undead fall on this road, Link climbs to the top, winning the race and showing the gods his worthiness for yet another time. All of these things mixed together to make a truly mysterious place in a somewhat light-hearted game. Number 5. The entirety of Termina from Majora's Mask. Honestly, I feel as if I should just finish this video here. Do I really need to explain this one? Just because you're here, I guess I will. Link falls into a tree and makes his way through a tutorial type area as a Deku and comes out in a clock tower with a mask salesman awaiting his arrival. This should be enough, but no, the game showers you with weirder and weirder thoughts throughout the course of the game. In this case, I feel as if weirder and weirder thoughts cannot be mutually exclusive to scary thoughts. So as Majora's Mask is by far the darkest and scariest game in the Zelda franchise, except the CDI games, the game's entire world has to be in this spot. I mean, the entire point of the theories surrounding this area include the fact that the Termina itself could be a completely different parallel world. I mean, do you really want to know the weirdest thing? This game literally places Link in a world with everyone he met on his travels in the Ocarina of Time and changes everything about them except their looks. What could be weirder than that? Imagine you're Link in that situation. How do you even try and start a conversation in that manner? Termina also has some very creepy or otherwise weird individuals. I mean, this game featured the solid beginning of the hand in the toilet, and look where that ended up. Quite honestly, it hurt me to basically put an entire game in the number 1 spot, but how could I not? This game is so immensely weird in every way and ditches everything that Ocarina of Time invented for it. So for that reason, Termina makes it onto my list. That and that goddamn moon. If you haven't already, then please subscribe for more weekly Zelda and just general Nintendo content. And if you've just subscribed or if you're already a subscriber here, why not leave a like rating? Normally at the end of a video, I tend to ask you to comment something if you made it this far in the video. Not today. Instead, I'm just going to ask for your opinion. Which location in the Zelda series would you add to this list? Thank you all so much for watching this video, stay safe and have a great week.